Welcome back to another book talk video. Today is Science Fiction Sunday, and I hope you're ready for an intense talk, because today is about the second and third books in the Dune series. I like to call it the Dune trilogy, even though there are three more books after this. But the first three really stand together really well. This is Dune Messiah and Children of Dune. And I talk about them together because I read them together and I remember them together. But also I should point out that there was a TV miniseries done that combined these stories together. Really, they did a huge episode for Dune Messiah, and then the rest of it was episodes for Children of Dune, which was great because it was the same people who made the 2000 Dune miniseries. So, same actors for characters coming back as their older selves, along with the new characters since the children have aged, as they do in the series. I highly recommend the books just because Dune is such an amazing series, such an epic part of science fiction. I do have to admit, though, that the second book, Dune Messiah, I really enjoyed less than the original Dune. But here is Frank Herbert, the author, truly informed. Because in Dune, he was trying to deliver a message that we have to be careful about our leaders, who we put into positions of leadership. And we really should not worship our leaders and put them in positions in which they are all powerful. We should question that sort of thing. Because even the best of people can be corrupted by those situations. And since that message was so subtle in Dune, a lot of people, I feel like, didn't really get it. They didn't understand the point of it. But it comes across quite clearly here in the second and third books as you see what happens with that. As Muad'Dib, Paul from the first book, has risen to power, we're looking at a galactic empire. And my goodness, it sounds like I'm talking about Star Wars, doesn't it? In which a man becomes very powerful. He ends up with twin children, and he's part of some sort of religious order, and people fear that he turns to the dark side and his children grow up with powers. It does sound as if George Lucas might have taken a lot of this and put it into Star Wars, but the children are not Luke and Leia. It's very different from that. But it is a really fun story. We've got the Sandworms of Dune, which somehow I did not talk about previously in my first video. I did not talk about the sandworms, and not once did I say the phrase, fear is the mind killer, which blows my mind. After I watched the video, my first Dune video, it's in the playlist, of course. I did say the spice must flow, though. The spice comes from the sandworms. The sandworms are very powerful. There's a lot here that's also an environmental message, if you like stories that deal with environmentalism, because part of the corruption with what's going on with the Galactic Empire, remember that the spice is necessary for travel, long distance space travel. And since it's the sandworms that produce the spice, and the sandworms are on the planet Arrakis, it's really important who controls that planet and how that works out. And through the course of these, you will see a new twist with how important that these sandworms are as the children grow up and they have to deal with things as well. Am I doing a nice job talking about the events without being too spoilery? I mean, all I really gave you so far was that in the first book, Paul did in fact rise to power, and he ends up having twin children. Paul also has a sister. She's a lot younger than him, but when things turn sideways, it's good that his sister exists, and that thanks to the order of the Bene Gesserit, and, well, I guess their accidents or what have you, his sister also has power. What's really funny to me is, in the first Dune book, there was this talk about how it wasn't supposed to be Paul. He wasn't supposed to be the chosen one. It was supposed to be another generation later or whatever, which is funny because in these books, when you get to book 3, it's the children of Dune, and that's Paul's son, and that's the next generation. So if there's a prophecy about a chosen one, you would think that's when it could then work out for that next generation. If the Bene Gesserit are not just an order of manipulative women trying to secretly control politics, if it's a real prophecy, then that's it. It could be Paul's son who rises to power. I highly recommend, if you've not read the Dune series, you've got to read the first book. The second book, hopefully, you would enjoy more than I did. What's funny is the first book and the third book are each over 600 pages. And so the second book, even though it's more than 300 300 pages long. It looks like a tiny book when you put it on the shelf in between the other books. But I would recommend that you also read them. So I was just trying to say, the second book is a shorter read. After you read these books, you can watch the miniseries. It's a lot of fun to go through the Dune miniseries and then go through the Children of Dune miniseries and get the story for all three of the books. I think they do a pretty accurate job, and you will not believe who plays the son of Paul Atreides. It's James McAvoy, a young James McAvoy. But James McAvoy is a spectacular actor. He does a nice job here, even though he's a lot younger than a lot of the roles you may know him from. Alright, that's it for today's book talk. Every day is a good day for a book talk. Go read the Dune trilogy. I don't know if you want to read books 4 through 6. We'll probably talk about that next week. Peace.